race secretary, the first one that competitors come into contact with. So I would like to introduce Denise Stronach to you. So Denise is surrounded by, her life is surrounded by motorsport, with her husband a competitor, her son's competitor. So Denise, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me today.
Perfect. So Denise, can you tell us how long you've been involved in motorsport and how you got started?
Long time, probably about 35 years, maybe 40. Hate to go back too far. I got involved through my family, my father was a competitor, my mother was an official, and started out volunteering, and it just progressed from there.
Great. And how did you start on your officiating journey?
Well, I assisted on the timekeeping team with my mother, and then from there I got involved in the administration side of the sport and volunteered, got involved with the state level racing, and then I moved on to national events as well, and then to the international events. I volunteered at the first MotoGP at Phillip Island in '89 as the flag marshal, and then the following year I got into race admin, and from there I've just progressed through to the secretary of the meeting there now. So I do the two international there.
Right. So what is involved in being a race secretary?
Basically, all the pre-event documentation, preparing the documentation for the officials, the competitors, the technical team, organising officials and placing them in teams. State level, it involves booking services and equipment that's required to run the events. And at the international events, my role varies a bit more into overseeing the officials and placing them in teams for the event, and looking after ensuring that all their needs are taken care of.
And so does the role vary much between, say, your club level to state, national, and then international level?
Not a great deal. The state and national events are quite similar. Still doing all the documentation for the competitors and officials, and working with the teams involved there. And the international side, as I said, is more just managing, overseeing the officials. So we have MotoGP, we have over 500 officials, and World Superbikes, we have close to 400 officials. So you have to be sort of have a bit of patience, be diplomatic with people, and try to ensure that you can meet everybody's request in some form.
And how before an event, how long does your role start? How long before an event does your role start?
Probably about 12 to 8 weeks before I start. At state level and national level would be 2 months from the event. International, we start 6 months out. So it's a bit varied.
Yeah, very much so. And are you involved in the supplementary regulations development of those at all of the levels?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I've worked with the committee on those as well. So it's a joint exercise with the supplementary regs, the final instructions, technical scrutineering documents, so forth.
Wow, there's a lot involved there. And then post-event, what's involved there?
Post-event, it's just following up on the paperwork and submitting it to the governing body, and then transferring anything that needs to go across to the next event.
And if somebody's interested in becoming a race secretary, is there any particular kind of skills they need?
Not really. I suppose just an interest in the sport itself helps. I mean, you do need to know about motorcycles, know the capacities and the makes and so forth certainly helps. So I suppose a passion and interest there, and you learn on the spot really. So I've mentored several race secretaries through the years at a state level, and we get a few requests through the international events as well. But a lot of the, I mean, it's great an event, but a lot of the work is done pre-event, so it's, you know, takes time to learn and commitment to have an interest to keep going. But it's a great team. I'm fortunate to work with a great team all around Australia, so that's what keeps you going back.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. So that's all the questions I have at this stage. Does anybody else have some questions for Denise?
I do. Okay, so given that it's an 8 to 12 week thing, is that still all a volunteer, or once you're at the level that you're at with the commitment that you have to do, is it a paid role? Is it something that people can work up to be sort of a paid role, or is it still a voluntary at that level?
No, it's a voluntary role. I think we're in the wrong sport for payment. Yeah, all volunteer, so it takes some time. But I was fortunate enough here in WA to, up until last year, to work for the motorcycle club. It was a very active club. I worked full time in an office that we have, but since 3 years ago, the Barbagallo Raceway got closed down on our part of the sport, which was very difficult for 2 years with no events, and then we just started rebuilding when COVID hit. So it's been very difficult state level. I don't work full time for them now. It's all done on a volunteer basis. Yeah, so we'll see where it goes from there. But majority is volunteer, yes.
Gets you lunch.
So you've got to have a passion for it.
Does anyone else have some questions for Denise? No? If you were to give anyone some advice in being a race secretary or looking at becoming a race secretary, Denise, what would your advice be?
Oh, look, yes, give it a go. It probably won't suit everybody. I mean, you're in an office 95% at the event. You're dealing with competitors, you know, people's problems and issues. But on the whole, it's, yeah, I enjoy that side of it. You know, some people don't like the office admin. They want to be out near the activity on track, you know, but there's lots of positions around there as well for people to join in. So I suppose it's just how keen you are and whether you've got family or people involved with the sport. I think that helps for sure.
Yeah, it's a good role to have, I think, definitely when it's, you know, when it's the weather isn't great outside. It's
Yes.
Sometimes I always find that I'm glad to be inside the office when the weather isn't great.
Yeah, there are the perks for sure.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, fantastic. Thank you so much.
Sorry, I just had one quick question. Just about the confidentiality side of things, like with people's details. How do you go about that, seeing once you're done, I guess, with an event or pre-event?
Well, the database remains there. We do keep it. Most of my documentation at the international events is held by Phillip Island. At state level, it's within the club. We don't share it around a great deal. It's kept fairly in-house.
All right, wonderful. Anyone else got any other questions? No?
I'd like to know what chocolates Denise likes so we can give it to her next time we're at an event, because with all that 12 and 8 weeks, a lot of work, it sounds like she needs it.
Or is it wine? All right, wonderful. Thank you. Thanks so much, Denise.